Tristan Thompson and Somnia founder Herman Narula joins us now. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
Awesome. Now, Tristan, the last time we talked, we were talking about Tracy AI. Now we're talking about a collaboration with Somnia that's really focused on the fan experience. Set the stage for us here. I mean, what are some of the challenges that you've experienced when interacting with your fans? And what's some of the feedback you've received from your fans?
Yeah, no, I think, first of all, thanks for having us on. I mean, we're not doing the Zoom no more, so we're in person.
Here we are in person.
Exactly. B-Town is in here, we're in Korea. But no, for us, for me as an athlete, what I was experienced is that, we always preach and talk about how the fans are what makes the sport, right? They're our most important people. We always do that, but we never really put our money where our mouth is, or even just elevate them to a place where their voice actually matters. And I think for us, with me and Herman, when we were sitting down and talking, we just connected on that. And we're like, let's elevate our fans and actually show them how much they actually do mean to the sport and like what their potential truly is.
Look, I think this is about more than just gambling, more than just making predictions. This is about information finance. And I think the promise that, groups of fans and groups of people who are passionate about any topic can accumulate information more efficiently, than markets can. And I think Tristan as a founder as well is pretty unique. Here we have someone who's not just a world-class athlete, but actually, in my experience, a world-class founder as well. Mm-hmm. He's training in the morning, he's in meetings in the evening. It's become one of our largest seed rounds that we've done as a venture builder. Mm. And look, bringing together Somnia with 1 million transactions a second and hopefully enough information on chain, maybe we start to see some real disruptions in the way players are valued, and maybe even in the way that sports conducts business.
I mean, Tristan, I can't imagine you don't bring the same discipline to your game as you do to this. We've had a lot of conversations. You are in it. You are trying to push your brand, but also your understanding and knowledge. Herman, you're no slouch. We've had you speaking on stages with us for years. You know fandom, you know digital virtual communities better than most. So, yeah, tell us about how this really came together.
Sure. I mean, I'll maybe give my bit and you jump in. But look, I met Tristan, and I think like a lot of people, I met him for my podcast, Herman's podcast, and I kind of underestimated him hugely. A lot of the talent that we speak to who've become famous in one field often don't necessarily present as having the narratives, the articulation, the communication power to build out a business that genuinely startles us after having thought about this problem for a long time. And Tristan just crushed me. He floored me, right? In my pre-meetings, in my discussions on the podcast, I was like, here's a person who doesn't just understand the problem domain really well, but can actually help us understand, as people who aren't in the sport, how we can apply what we have to transforming it. And so I had to invest. I had to do it. I think I called up my founders that day, my co-founders from the podcast. I was like, we're giving this guy money. And they were like, who are we giving money to? Why? What's happening? And so, it took us a while to get the whole thing sorted. But now we're, well underway. Yeah,
but I think for us, I think we almost want to challenge the system, right? I think that's why me and Herman, we mesh so well, is that because, especially in my world, we're always taught, this is how it is, right? This is fans are right here, prediction markets right here, gambling's right here. And it's almost like we want to challenge that to see, are you really as good as you say you are? And is this actually the best solution, right? And for us, we came together and we're especially on the InfoFi side, right? If we are able to take all this information, and what I like to say is this, social media-wise is so powerful, those communities. And I'll give you an example. I know owners in the NBA that literally go on social media and they have fired head coaches just because they've been killed about the hire they've made. So if you can go to the community for negative and make a change to your franchise, imagine if the community is able to give you positive and great information. I'm really telling you the valuable player, the true valuable player, not just these analytic statistician guys that are just placed in here, whether it's a favor from mom and pop or just a nepotism thing, right? We're who actually really knows the sport and actually can help the sport grow?
Completely, and I'd say it's the thing that won me over wasn't just the vision for what we can do for the NBA, but the idea that there is talent out there in the world, whether that's in Nigeria, Ghana, Indonesia, anywhere. And I think you were saying there's 6 scouts per team or something to cover the entire world. And so my thought is well, hey, if we make it into a game, if we make the discovery of talent into something that can accumulate value, maybe we can open up a whole bunch of people to career opportunities that wouldn't otherwise have existed. And look, I think InfoFi is the next meta. There's a lot of talk of NFTs, AI, etc. But InfoFi is maybe the most pure example of what crypto can do to make markets more efficient. and I suspect, it's where we're backing with Somnia. I think it's going to be the next big thing.
Talk us through how it works for a fan out there who's going to use the platform. Like, what does that experience look like?
Well, the experience is pretty simple. I mean, just imagine basically using the blockchain for just fantasy and prediction market, right? Everyone knows about Polymarket. Listen, Polymarket is basically more credible than CNN and Fox and all those
not
other...
CoinDesk.
Not CoinDesk. No, come on now. Not CoinDesk. Not CoinDesk. But, so you're looking at these two areas, and especially from the sports and the gambling side, right? Like, FanDuel and DraftKings, yes, guess what? They're doing great things, but I challenge them. Like, are they really the best source of outcome, or really, like, we want to be disruptors in this space, and I think that's how you kind of make a change, like, no different than, like, Uber when it came with the taxis. Like, you got to almost go left field and have this kind of crazy idea, and people might think you're, like, he's that, excuse my French, S-H-I-T crazy, but, like, he might be onto something, right?
Look,
like that's
completely. And look, we're already trading shitcoins. Why not trade tokens that represent players?
Yeah.
Why not trade things that really matter, right? And maybe that'll allow some of the drama, both on and off the pitch, to kind of come into into this experience. I think the other key thing for us is low fees. Like, I think you've been really big on this. It's like making this fair, making this accessible, making this somewhere where an edge actually means something. And I'm really excited about what this can be.
And have the fans really determine the value of the player. And not just the LeBron James and the Giannis.
But everybody else.
Everyone knows. It's like the role players, right? Like, for instance, I'm thinking in my head, like, a guy like Marcus Smart that was with the Celtics, right? He was not Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, but he was just as important to the Celtics in terms of a championship run that they had, right? So, like, let the fans really ignite that and put a value behind that and tokenize it where it shows how important he is to the actual team, but in a way where we can use gaming and fantasy.
No, completely. And then the players who are first, the fans who come in earliest, they're going to have the biggest opportunity to win on this. I think there's a huge vision for the company to reward early adopters, and not in an exploitative way, but really to make them co-creators and builders. So, yes, it's one of the most exciting projects we're building on Somnia.
I want to ask you, Top Shot really kicked off a lot of this, right? 2020, big Top Shot moment. Now we saw what happened with football.fun. I want to just understand why sports and crypto go so hand in hand. I think everyone, to your point, Tristan, it's like people want to know the big players because they think in fantasy that's the one that's going to make them win. So what is it about the information of, like, I just want to do my homework, get inside, which is not that different than meme coins. Like, if I can figure this out, I can actually benefit. What is it also about sports that makes it so exciting?
Yeah, I mean, listen, when I got into the space and when I went to Token last year, you start to realize how much people in Web3 and crypto love sports. Like, they're really sports fanatics, and to be honest, they love basketball. And, like, everyone I run into, like, the 2016, like, I never realized how much people are into sports and, like, crypto. And it's, like, literally, whether it's 2K, Madden, it's so much. Everyone uses the cliche, like, rappers want to be athletes, athletes want to be rappers. No, it's almost like crypto guys want to get on the court and play one-on-one versus their players and, like, literally go hoop. Like, you see Thread Guy and these guys, like, hooping and talking about who's the best guy in Web3 and basketball, right? And so it's, like, it makes sense. And, like, we're getting a lot of good...
Completely. And also, like, regulatory and legal changes have heavily assisted this, right? I think we're in a very unusual situation in the United States now where, everything was either securities law or gambling. Now there's this, like, gray area, which is, in a sense, regulated and in a sense unregulated. And, with tax changes that have happened and the approach to gambling being almost seen as, like, a commodity market interaction, I think it's led to a flood of people being excited. And look, the other element to this is people like being right. People like winning. Crypto people like winning more than almost anybody else likes winning. And to have an opportunity to take something you're passionate about to win and to even catch the attention of players, and Tristan won't be the only one, I think, engaging with this with some of your plans. I think it's going to be very exciting.
Herman, you brought up regulation right there. I'm just curious, like, how closely you're watching regulation in the States.
Oh, incredibly closely.
Yeah, and, people are waiting for the CFTC to make some recommendations on prediction markets like Polymarket. How closely are you watching, and how adaptable are you?
Incredibly closely, right? And look, one of the things we believe in is that a lot of crypto has lost its decentralization. I think when you think about things like stablecoins, which have been a big aspect of growth, they're actually very centralized, and it's very easy for, like, whether it's Tether or USDC to actually ban accounts and prevent you from using your money. And a lot of that centralization has become a way of appealing to regulators, right? And to sort of go, look, it's not that scary, it's kind of different. But a lot of the power of crypto is decentralization and co-ownership. So one of the things we're doing is why we built a really powerful blockchain was so that we could put more information on chain and make things more decentralized. So our hope is that if we can maintain credible decentralization, then no matter the regulatory climate, we're going to create an environment that is pretty appealing to folks and to allow them to build and compose businesses.
Final question, Tristan. In the locker room, how many guys are asking you what the price of Bitcoin is going to be at the end of the year?
Listen, I'm telling you, ever since I've gotten this space, and listen, my teammates will see me on Aerodrome, like yielding. They're like, yo, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm yielding, guys. All right, let me lock in. But really, like, my teammates have started noticing, they ask questions now, and guys are like, you know, like, do I get more XRP? Do I buy more ETH? So, like, literally, guys are texting me, and then, like, in a group chat saying, like, yo, it's pumping. Yeah, what should I do? I'm like, hold it. Long term, guys. Think long. The same way you bet on yourself to get to the NBA, you got to bet on these coins and bet on the space. Bet on what the future of digital finance is. Bet on that's what's going to be our kids. That's the form of it. They're not going to be walking into these banks and these institutions. They're going to be literally having their wallets and being on a computer and literally managing their finance like this.
Everyone's going to trade. I mean, it's starting into like almost like a national sport in a weird way.
Tristan, what Sam, I think, was getting at is when they ask you what the price of Bitcoin is going to be, do you tell them a price?
All right. Arthur Hayes told us 250,000 by the end of the year. Higher
Agree
or lower?
or disagree?
I'm going to say, look, listen, Arthur Hayes is an OG, so he's a very aggressive, and he's going to give it to you hard. But, you know, for me, I'm going to say, like, a 150.
That's what you said.
I'm going to say 150.
All right.
I don't know.
That's what, I'd rather set the bar low and overachieve. They're like, damn, Tristan, man.
I don't know.
I heard it here first.
All right, that was NBA champion Tristan Thompson, who thinks Bitcoin could get to 150 by the end of the year. That's not bad. And Somnia founder Herman Narula.